All right, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. We've been going through this offseason for Miami, and it's coming into a massive year for the Dolphins. And there's some new additions that have been off to a great start. And there's one in particular that did some good things early on and is continuing to impress. And the Dolphins veterans are taking notice. We'll get into all this in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That is Andrew. And this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, one of the best selections the Miami Dolphins made in the 2025 NFL Draft was offensive lineman Jonah Sava'i-Na'a. We covered him about a week and a half ago, all the good things he's doing, about how the Dolphins coaching staff has been very impressed with what he's shown for the Dolphins up to this point. And now it's no longer just the coaches. The veterans in this Miami Dolphins locker room are starting to take notice. And James Daniels, the veteran guard for Miami, has come out and said some very encouraging things with this rookie offensive lineman. Let's bring up this report here. Then we've got some interesting data and some comparisons on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. James Daniels has also been entrusted to befriend second-round pick Jonah Sava'i-Na'a. The duo are expected to take the left and right guard spots. Daniels said the rookie is leaps and bounds of where he should be. Jonah reminds me of one of my teammates, one of my good friends, Isaac Seumalo, Daniels said. They have very similar movements and stuff. Daniels says the rookie is like a sponge, always seeking more information and knowledge of the blocking schemes. Jonah, he's always texting me. He's always texting other players asking for advice, Daniel said. So it's always working after practice. I'm excited to see his development. My rookie year, I wasn't working with the first team until October. He just starts off working with them, so he's been throwing a lot of stuff, Daniel said. It's not an easy offense. I'm really proud of him for his development. I'm excited to see how much he develops between now and training camp. All right, this is obviously really good news. Daniels is a respected veteran, respected offensive lineman. He's been involved in the NFL for a number of years. Spent a lot of time in the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what the Seumalo conversation came up with. But I think what Daniels is saying when it comes to Isaac Seumalo and the comparison with Sava'i-Na'a is very interesting, because Sava'i-Na'a, coming out of school, one of his biggest gripes and his biggest weaknesses was his so-called lack of athleticism and the concern of how that would fit to the NFL. In fact, let's pull up our first screen grab here. This is courtesy of NFL.com's draft profile when it comes to Sava'i-Na'a. And I'll just read you the overview real quick and notice just something when I get to the point. They said he's a durable 3-year starter who is built like a right guard, but has valuable protection experience as a collegiate tackle. Sava'i-Na'a doesn't have the athleticism to stick at right tackle in the NFL, but can play there in a pinch with some help. It goes on to say, he's very wide and can engulf smaller opponents as a base blocker while sealing off double teams and down blocks. His feet often deaden on contact. Again, talking about his so-called lack of athleticism, creating opportunities for defenders to leak through. The report goes on to say some more positive things. So you can see the Sava'i-Na'a criticism begins and ends with his athleticism. But if you listen to what James Daniels is saying, he says, hey, he reminds me of Isaac Seumalo. And if you look at Seumalo's strengths, let's go ahead and go to our next graphic here. This is directly talking about Isaac Seumalo, who James Daniels played with, who says Sava'i-Na'a reminds him of. He said, this is, again, Seumalo's strengths here. Quick feet and plays with above average lateral movement, well schooled with technicians' understanding of footwork and angles to secure reach blocks and wall defenders out of the running lane. So again, Seumalo, his greatest strength, his number one strength was athleticism. That was supposedly Sava'i-Na'a's weakness. But so far through the offseason, that weakness hasn't showed up, guys. That's the important thing. We knew Sava'i-Na'a is big and strong and is a powerful guy. He can be a really physical force in the running game. But I think the big thing and the big question was, can he be an athletic player in terms of an athletic elite offensive lineman? If you listen to James Daniels, it's very, very clear that they believe he can, because he's showing at this point he's playing very similarly to Seumalo, who is known for his athleticism. So Sava'i-Na'a, we already knew he was big. We already know he's strong. We already know he's a hard worker who gets better and better. But now his biggest weakness, his biggest area of concern, his athleticism, has been put to rest based on what James Daniels is saying. I think this is a great sign for the Miami Dolphins. And just to rehash a chart we brought up a few days ago when it comes to Sava'i-Na'a, let's go ahead and pull it up, Mize, if you don't mind, talking about his improvement. And again, we throw this chart up here. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it when we talked about this kid before. His overall grade, his run blocking grade, and his pass blocking grade, 2022 blue, 2023 red, 2024 gold. He gets better each and every year. We've seen this with Sava'i-Na'a in terms of his technique, in terms of his athletic ability, paired with his massive strength. This guy just gets better and better. And so far through this offseason, he's gotten better. He's no surprise. It should be no surprise at all that his biggest weakness, so-called coming out of his last year of collegiate ball, his athleticism, has been fixed because of the effort he has been put in. James Daniels recognizes it. The Dolphins recognize it. And I tell you what, Miami fans, you got a special young offensive lineman in Jonah Sava'i-Na'a. Now, Miles, I know you've got a few thoughts on this, but first, Dolphins fans, in the comment section below, when we talked about Jonah a few weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago, I should say, we asked you guys, who is the best guard in Miami Dolphins history? And now we're going to throw another question at you, very similar. Who is the best offensive tackle, left tackle or right tackle, in Dolphins history? This could go a lot of different ways, but we want to hear from you guys. Give us the best Dolphins tackle in team history. Put them in the comment section below. But Miles, over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest report involving this young offensive lineman?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is just really great news for the Dolphins, in particular, just because we hear things, we see data points, stuff like that. I think it's really important, and I think it says a lot. But there's just nothing like a veteran of the position who's done great before, did really good last year. James Daniels, just a guy who's been around the block and knows everything. When someone like that comes out and says, "Hey, this guy's looking good. He's reminding me of one of my teammates, somebody that's really good." Just eyes, boots on the ground. There's something about that is reassuring. And I don't, I think we give credit to the stats and the data points and everything. And I think that's really important in indicating where things go. But there's nothing like, just a guy on the ground who's really familiar, subject matter expert coming out and saying, "Hey, this guy, really good. Really liking what we're seeing. He's a sponge. He's trying to learn. Tells you everything you want to know." Because James Daniels has, no reason to really talk up Savaiinai. He just really should want the best guard to play opposite of him so they can have the best offensive line, so they can have the best season. The more wins they get, the better they do, the more money he's going to get in the future. Just everything, there's no reason for him just to come out and just, blow this guy up for no reason at all. So James Daniels saying these things, I think that's really important. It just goes to show how good this selection actually was for the Dolphins. I think they got a starter here at the guard position for them, and a guy that can bud into a future star. And we're hearing all the right things about Savaiina. And I think it's something that you talk about a lot, Nick. We bring it up all the time on this channel is good players are good all the time. And I think people need to understand that. People say, okay, the guy is good. We saw the chart. He gets better every year. He's getting better and better all throughout college. We hear about, okay, in the draft, he graded well. We saw some good indicators in the draft, all that kind of stuff. That's important. Then rookie minicamp comes. Then OTAs come. Now regular minicamp, training camp, going through those rounds. He's always been good. We've heard good things about him throughout the whole process. So it just goes to show, is reiterating, everything is trending in the direction of this being a great pick for the Dolphins. I know everyone's going to say it's early. Let's wait until we see the play on the field. There's too many things, too many, variables here to go off of to really tell if this guy's going to be a great pickup for the team or not. But the data shows, the trend shows, and now we finally got some boots on the ground, a true subject matter expert in James Daniels coming out and saying, "Hey, this guy, he's the real deal. He seems like he's very good." And I think overall, the Dolphins, one of their biggest problems, getting the offensive line fixed. It's been kind of a trial and error. They brought in Brewer, they brought in Daniels. They've been fixing things over time here. I think finally they're starting to get something together. I think they have a really good core of interior guys. The tackles are young, especially Patrick Paul. I think there's something to be said about that he can develop into a nice player. But overall, the Dolphins moving in the right direction, especially for the offensive line.
And another thing we like to talk about on this channel, we talk about corroborating evidence, right? We always look for multiple sources saying the same thing to indicate a true direction. So obviously, if just one reporter says a rookie is doing great, that's a nice thing, but we look for more than that. So a week ago, we talked about the Dolphins coaching staff saying Savaiina is doing a lot of really good things. We like a lot of what he's saying. And now we're getting into the corroborating evidence saying now his fellow teammates, his fellow offensive lineman mates are coming out and saying very positive things. And again, I think you bring up a great point. Daniels has nothing to gain, especially comparing him to Samalu, a veteran offensive lineman. That's putting a lot of pressure. I shouldn't say undue pressure, but a lot of pressure on Savaiina at this point. So I guarantee you, Daniels wouldn't be saying this unless he is seeing exactly what he's talking about in terms of the performance, the athleticism of Isaac Samalu in this young offensive guard from Miami. So we're getting corroborating evidence. The Dolphins coaching staff, O-line coach, they love what they're seeing from this kid. His teammates saying the same thing. The media's been saying a lot of good things as well. We've got a lot of corroborating evidence that Jonas Savaiina is going to be a great player and a key player for Miami day one. And look, they're going to need him to be right. This offensive line needs some improvement. We're heading into a critical year for Mike McDaniel, for Tua. There's going to be a lot of changes if things don't go well. So there's a lot of pressure on everyone in this organization. And this young rookie, I think he's in a good position to handle it. Seems to have a good head on his shoulders, is working hard, putting in the effort. I love the fact he's texting everybody, just wants to get better, kind of guy you want in your locker room, kind of guy you want on your football team. We talk about what could happen with Miami this season if things go wrong for the Dolphins, but we need to start thinking about what could potentially happen for Miami if things go right. And if they have offensive linemen right and solid with a lot of the young players you mentioned, Patrick Paul, who I'm personally very high on, I think he'll be a great player. This is a Dolphins team that still has a lot of great pieces and can make a lot of noise in an AFC East, who, if we're being totally honest, the Jets still seem to be the Jets. The Bills, they seem to disappoint every year, and I think they're on a little bit of a decline as they get older. Patriots in total rebuild. They got the great quarterback, new head coach, but they still got a long way to go. If the Dolphins can get this right with a lot of these core pieces, they can start taking over this division. A lot of things have to happen. We have to see how things shake out on Sundays, but I think the emergence of a guy like Jonah Savaiinaea could have a critical impact for Miami this season.